Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Shockingly, study shows that over 90% of people don't get the recommended daily allowance of key nutrients. This widespread deficiency can significantly impact our energy levels. It can weaken our immune system and even affect our brain power and mood. There are so many vitamins in food and supplements, and it's really hard to tell if you're actually getting enough of the ones that you truly need. And that's why we're so glad to chat on IG Live today with Kateri Reyes. Kateri is an integrative health practitioner and holistic wellness coach. During this live, we are going to discuss essential vitamins you need to consume daily, what to look out for in a multivitamin, ways to optimize your absorption of certain vitamins, and so much more. Here you are. Hello.
I am. Yes. Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became an integrative health practitioner.
Yes, I love to. My story is I feel like becoming more and more stereotypical of functional wellness practitioners in general. It began with my own healing, with having to restore my body. And I spent an entire childhood that's now we see this trend where I was on antibiotics nearly from birth onwards. And suffered a lot of health issues as a result. And because of that, I entered my early childhood with a host of health issues that never seemed to go away. And that really moved me to have to start taking things seriously. By the time I was a teenager, I was given the bio age of an 83-year-old. Yeah. Not something you want to find out when you're 17. And I was given multiple labels of disease. And I was told this would just be my life. And I wasn't given any hope. I was given a lot of pills, and most of them were antidepressants and a biologic. And I just said, this does not make sense to me. There has to be something else out there. But this was 25 years ago, and there wasn't a lot out there. The information knowledge had not made it to consumer level. So I was very much alone and just put the pieces of the puzzle together little by little, practitioner after practitioner, that I sought holistically. And what I came to realize, so much of the issues I dealt with were deficiency related. And when I began to meet those deficiencies through nutrition, just the food I was choosing for my body, and eliminating some things that were doing more harm than good, and then supplementing, those two things became a real important factor for me. So fast forward, I've been in practice for several years now. I moved into the wellness circle really 13 years ago, helping other families repeat what I have done for myself and for my children, largely dealing with toxic load and deficiency. And I really believe on a functional level, that's it. Like those two factors, we kind of joke as medical school in a nutshell. People really want to restore their body. We have to address those two things.
That makes so much sense. Because I felt like those are also the sort of the building block, the essential things before anything can happen, and then that really like regulates your entire body and also just your health, like what you would develop in the future.
Exactly. Yes. It's something that I think we underestimate how fast our body is willing to restore itself. Especially if we've been at it for a while, we've been trying to do things and they're not happening the way that we think they are. We get frustrated. It's easy to feel like I'm just a victim. And that's really where I was for a long time. I felt like I was a victim in my body. And it really was discovering epigenetics that everything changed for me.
Because epigenetics is the size of your DNA.
You get to decide by your lifestyle. And with that, it put me out of victimology and back into power, that I actually have influence here. My lifestyle, my food choices, my stress, my environment, people I keep around me, all of that changes how my body expresses itself. And it put me in a lot of power. And so that, I think, is something that I love to transmit to people when I take them on as clients.
I love it. So I felt like your client benefited so much just from your own experience.
Yeah.
And then
empathy there. But I know what it's like to feel pain and suffering and hopeless.
And is that the reason you chose your Instagram handle as Rise to Reclaim?
Yes.
I love this handle.
Yes, because that's really what it takes. And it takes us rising constantly. Our bodies, especially as women, our bodies are changing daily, weekly, monthly, and learning how to understand that rhythm, understand how to participate with that. It takes us rising over and over again and reclaiming it. We make some big wins and make some little wins, but there are wins all along the way.
So today we're discussing like vitamins you must consume daily as a health practitioner. So how important is nutrition to overall wellness?
Nutrition is essential because it is the one factor that you are doing every single solitary day. Not all of us are getting in the gym every day, nor do we need to. But there are really foundational principles of how to stay healthy. Your lifestyle is the most important, and every single thing you put in your body is going to change it. Whether you choose it or not is going to change it. And I really want people to foster a wellness attitude that is not, I don't ever use the word diet. Diet is something I really am turned off by, because it's really a falling in love with your body and learning how to support and nourish it, just like you do any other relationship. And so knowing the right tools of what fuels you and helps you, and learning to get nutrition from your food primarily, I think is a big deal. I definitely want to always caveat in the health industry, it's easy to fall into the same medical, modern industrialized medicine version of a pill for every ill. So supplements are really important. And for some people, like with me and my genetics, they're actually critical because there's certain things I'm missing that I have to always really rely on. But we can't chase them as the only answer to, right? So lifestyle, your stress environment, whether or not you're taking breaks and getting ability to handle stress, your food, movement, all of those are critical. And also connection. Human connection is absolutely one of the pills we can't take enough. Just being with good humans in our life.
I love it. I love it. Why do you feel so many people struggle with consuming enough of the daily allowance of recommended key nutrients?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. Number one, just our food. Our food has changed. 50, 60 years ago, we would not have been having the same conversation. We had a lot more, we had the farm to table aspect is a big deal, because the minute something comes out of the ground and is harvested, it begins to lose nutrient density, lose enzymes, lose its ability to serve us. And so we are kind of living counter to our design. And that is just a reality in the modern world. We're getting food that was picked sometimes months before we get it to the table, or it's been processed or changed or frozen or cooked in some form that we have a fallout of nutrient density. So there's that aspect. The soil has changed. We have abused our soil to the umpteenth degree. It will take us decades of rebuilding our soil in our food industry to get us back to where we have nutrient density again. So with that, it means even when you eat the ideal diet, you're still not getting what you need. And then there's the problem of the supplement industry, which is unregulated, which means we put a lot of trust in, especially our big box stores that we are familiar with. They're like home to us. We get to walk in and get all the things for our family every day. We have that trust, but they're not sourcing for improving your health. Most of these companies are sourcing for their bottom dollar. And oftentimes they're hopping on trends. And there are different ways to get the same vitamins and minerals. So every A to Z vitamin mineral has lab versions that have been created, co-created with nature, but then manipulated to make them cheaper and easier to get. And then there are naturally derived. Many of the natural derived, they have fermentation processes and key aspects and cofactors where they are harvested in the way that we actually can understand. So the biggest thing to understand when it comes to supplementation, it's not what you consume, it's what you absorb. So that is a big issue. And then the third issue, besides just sourcing and the farm to table issue, nutrition, is just our actual body. So if any of us, and I'd say most of us in America are walking around to some degree with gut issues. to some degree. If you've ever been on antibiotics, if you live a stressful, fast-paced life, if you're eating out frequently, all of those things are changing our biome. Many things are leading to yeast overgrowth and gut permeability, where now you have yeast tunneling out of our digestive tissues and now into our cavity, and everything else can follow. So it puts us in this place of, even when we're trying to consume the right things, we're not actually absorbing them at the rate. We might be maybe only absorbing 40% of even the best quality vitamins we're putting in.
That makes so much sense. Now I'm gonna get into the solution part, which you have so many tips. The first was you had a fantastic post called the vitamin cheat sheet. And then in your opinion, you mentioned you were skeptical about some people taking multivitamins. Why is that? I think partially it was what exactly you just mentioned, but let's go into it.
There's a few, just kind of like how I've gotten really savvy when it comes to looking at skincare products, and I avoid parabens and phthalates like the plague, right? If that's in the first few ingredients, I'm out. We can do the same thing with our vitamins and minerals. And getting comfortable with some of the basics, knowing what we need is really essential, but also knowing that form matters. And there are different forms of every vitamin. And not all of them are, I would say this, none of them are bad for you in the direct category, but when consumed regularly, many of them can be overtly toxic depending on your own body. Just like, for instance, we have people, probably at this point, 40+% of the population have MTHFR, which means they can't tolerate and break down folic acid. Folic acid is a lab source version of folate that is actually added to our food as a supplement. We have many supplements that are added to our food. So without even opening a pill bottle, we're getting supplements. We're getting iodine, we're getting folate, riboflavin, niacin. These things are coming in. But if our genes make them intolerable to us, we start to rack up inflammation. And so that becomes a big problem. Another thing, I love to look for B vitamins. Because B vitamins, that's our energy source, that's our repair source. But most people don't know the most common form of B vitamin that you'll find on the open market is cyanocobalamin. Cyanocobalamin is derived from human wastewater treatment centers, which that doesn't sound like a selling point. Just based on your faith alone, I'll say that we agree that's not the thing I want to put in my body. It's a cheap derivative. So it's in a lot of energy drinks and sports drinks. It's there as a boost, but it's actually has a lot of more toxic side effects. It's a cousin of cyanide. So again, something I want to look for, and I avoid that. And then there's magnesium is another big one that people get into, and magnesium is the master mineral. It is essential for every mineral process in our body as a cofactor. But most people, when they say, "Oh, I've been taking magnesium for a long time, and I don't really notice much," I would say, "Well, tell me what form you're taking." Again, on the open market, magnesium citrate is one of the most common forms. That's just a salt. It's easily dissolved. It's decent for digestion, but it doesn't do any of the work for our heart, for our muscles, for our brain, for our hormones that magnesium is supposed to be hired to do. And so some of those things, I'm looking at a multivitamin, I'll run through the list really quickly and look for some of those things. Because if I see cyanocobalamin on it, out right away. If I see an oxide on it, it's out right away. And the last one that I look for is an instant win. This is one that it goes back and forth because ascorbic acid is the common form of vitamin C. That is one thing you'll see everywhere. It is super common. It is not overtly bad for you unless it's the common source. And this is the hard part. Not every company discloses their source. But one of the forms of ascorbic acid comes from growing through black mold. Again, highly toxic. So again, it comes to, we have too many companies out there. Again, they're based on bottom dollar. They're not out as functional based companies desiring to help people move towards really restoring their bodies. So I choose to partner with companies directly and knowing that I'm getting what's on the label, that they're sourced well, and that the company will stand behind things like heavy metal testing. and go the extra mile on make sure there's not any other chemicals or adjuvants added or that the forms are incorrect. So I would say maybe the difference between these other companies is $10, which we look at supplements and we're thinking, oh, well, they're so expensive if I buy the good stuff. Honestly, if you're buying the best stuff out there, maybe you're spending $10 more, maybe. But what you're getting out of it is a body that's not moving into dis-ease.
So you kind of just describe what you're looking for when you're selecting vitamins to recommend to clients. If people are choosing to go shop for themselves, is there another cheat sheet somewhere they could look out for or make sure it's checking off the list?
I think first of all, you need to just know your basics. You need to know what you need, because the human body, we're past the point where we're having disease like rickets from low vitamin D and scurvy from low vitamin C, because we are getting it enough in our food. Even we're not eating great, we're still getting enough of things. That was back when people were starving and on ships for months at a time and not getting anything. So we're not in that place anymore. But what we are in a place of is people are still experiencing chronic autoimmune and immune system issues and chronic pain. So that's showing us there's a lot of deficiency out there. And people want to step into that. Yes, a good multivitamin really is the most essential. And the reason why multivitamins are powerful is because they have cofactors. So every vitamin and mineral typically has another friend. They bind to each other and they accelerate each other and they help each other move in the body. So as a game-changing aspect, I definitely think that a good solid multivitamin is really essential. And like I said, you could cheat sheet and just look for those first 3 things and know, okay, this company I take seriously. And if you go to the company themselves, I am a big fan of ordering direct from the distributor, and that they're functional based. They have a lot of education behind what they offer. They'll tell you what you should experience. And they also have guarantees behind them, money back if you're not experiencing those. Those kinds of companies definitely stand out. And what I really love and appreciate is the fact that there is a guarantee, because I want to know. I want to walk away and say, hey, this is doing something for me. And I do want to caveat this. Back when I was first beginning my journey, I took a lot of supplements. I tried a lot. And honestly, I kept telling myself, oh, this is doing good things for me. I didn't notice anything. And I think that's something that's really critical. You should actually expect to notice changes in your body, in your sleep, in your mood, and your energy. Those are signs that you're getting the right thing, and a reduction in pain and discomfort. If you're not experiencing those things within the first 2 weeks, check your company.
And it's not working for you.
Not working for you. And I will say this too. I used to be the person that shopped on Amazon for, I still shop on Amazon for everything, but I have excluded supplements from that as much as possible, because even the best companies, now that I'm a practitioner, I partner with some of the companies that they have supplements on Amazon, but Amazon doesn't control who sells what. And so many times, even your top companies will have someone else buy their product, change labels, change pills, and you don't know about it. And so there's no way to know what that white powder is when you get it and put it into your body. So if I work with a direct company, then I'm guaranteed to know what they're putting in and they stand behind, and I can work with them if anything changes or have any problems. And that's, I think, a huge trust factor.
That makes so much sense. And then when it comes to vitamins that we need to consume daily, you have a lot of great information on the vitamin in your feed. So we're going to run through them on a sort of a high level. So why is vitamin D3 so important, and what should you consider when choosing a vitamin D supplement?
Vitamin D3 is critical for your immune system, reducing inflammation, and it drives the absorption of calcium and phosphorus for bone health. This is important because if you're not driving calcium the right way, it will end up in your arteries and start calcifying your arteries. So you want that to happen. So you want vitamin D to always have K as a partner. That's how you know that you get things driven in the right direction. K is that partner for vitamin D. So vitamin D is cholecalciferol plus K. That is your goal. I've had some people that have said that I've been on vitamin D forever and I'm not making a difference. Well, there's other factor for vitamin D, and that is, are you getting enough? The RDA in America for vitamin D is 800 IUs. That's a recommended dose. When you go to a functional practitioner and you say, my energy is low, my pain is high, my mood is off, and they say, well, let's put you on vitamin D, they're going to start you at 5 to 10,000 IU. So dosing matters. It's not just that D wasn't working for you. You weren't getting enough. Just like water can only work for you if you're getting enough.
That makes so much sense. So remember, it's vitamin D. You always need that K to help out, and then also check your amount.
Yeah.
Okay. What are some benefits of vitamin C, and what are your favorite fruit sources that have it?
Well, I love vitamin C when it comes from more of an amla or acerola fruit base. That's when or bioflavonoids. Those are 3 different forms, and oftentimes you'll find supplements from great companies. Equalife, Thorne, Seeking Health, all of them put multi-factor C together. So you're getting multiple forms, your body gets to absorb it. This is where your immune function superhero. It's your collagen production, cellular health. We know it's also essential for your regulation of your circulation. When people are coming to me, they're saying, I'm having some issues, struggling with my breath, or I feel really congested, my heart's really congested. Vitamin C can be a superpower in there. Oxidative stress, reducing inflammation. It's the go-to. We know that we can take ample doses of vitamin C when we're sick, but it's water soluble. It dissolves. We don't store it. So that means it's actually really safe to do what we call a heroic dose when we're feeling sick, because we can go all in. Our body will only keep what it needs and shed the rest. So that's why it's a superpower when you're not feeling good.
Awesome. Now let's get into the vitamin Bs. What makes vitamin B9 so important, and what are the things to consider when selecting a supplement that has folate B9 in it?
So this is a big one because people get so off the rails getting the wrong form. And again, many prescription, especially I think women are at risk because we get prescription vitamins, especially prenatals. They often have folic acid rather than folate. Our body cannot break it down. So we need folate. And this is vital for red cell production, for your DNA synthesis. It's an essential building block to pregnancy and fertility. So having folate in the proper forms is critical. Like I said, for those who have, without knowing it, are walking around with genetic mutations and methylation, they can't break anything else down. And so getting the right form really makes a difference.
And why do we need vitamin B3 daily? And what are the best source of the B3 niacin?
Niacin is your energy metabolism. It is the superhero that comes in and breaks down your sources of energy. And I love, see here, I had it and I just lost my train of thought here. Niacinamide is my favorite form of it. And you can find it. That's a really common form, one that you should be able to find easily in most substances. It helps with your healthy lipids, joint lubrication. It inhibits abnormal cell growth. And we know what we mean by that. We don't want those zombie cells or things hanging around that don't belong to our cells, have a life cycle. They live and die, and they don't mess around. So niacin is really important for that. It's really kind of, I say, like your heart and cellular function, kind of where you want to support that.
What about vitamin B12? Like, what are some important considerations?
So vitamin B12 is the one that I mentioned that can come off as cyanocobalamin. And so again, this is actually one thing I really want to fine tune when it comes to looking at supplements. Cheap manufactured supplements, they will not even tell you the form. It will just say B12. And you're like, oh, I need B12, but the form really, really matters. Now, this is one more thing I want to deep dive even further. B12 is for your brain, your nerves, your blood cells. On the nerves aspect, the wrong form of B12 for the wrong person can actually increase your anxiety. There's a lot of people walking around with high anxiety. I was one of them who for years, it's like, why is my heart racing? And I took magnesium. No, it's not magnesium being low. Like, why is my heart always racing? Why do I have a faster heart rate that's resting or a fast pulse? Why do I have jitters at night or like restless legs? Well, for many people who have methylation genetic issues, they can't process even the best form. The best form of vitamin B12 is methylcobalamin. It's pre-methylated, which means it's broken down for you. That's the ideal form. But if you're someone who has a certain type of methylation issue, you actually get too much of a good thing. And that leads you to have these neurotransmitters that kick up and send signals everywhere. And then you're getting activation that you don't want. So you can play with it and have hydroxy or adenosine. Those are different forms of the right cobalamin that can help you. And so some people, if they're having that, I say, you know what, stop taking B12 for this next week and just see if you feel a normalization, and let's get you on the right B. That's often a really common thing.
I also heard many times people just want to be easy, take a B complex instead of like figuring out, the each form that you need. Would you recommend people to do the complex form?
Yeah, I really do. And I have a lot of people that do that. And just remember that for some people, if you notice you're one of the people that has more anxiety or jittery nature, do what we call an MF-free or methyl-free version. So it'll be all the Bs all together, and they work synergistically together. They do a lot of work together, but it's that wrong form. So like I said, some of the best vitamins out there aren't bad for you on the general scale, but they're bad for your body currently, right? And so that's something to stay aware of.
What type of iron should we be look for when if we actually have if we want to have fewer digestive problems? Because I know some people will get constipated when they take iron.
Yeah, and that's a huge warning sign. That's telling us it's binding, and it's not doing its job. And actually, you can take a strong magnet and pull iron out of many of our fortified foods. You can just literally pull the iron matter out. So we're getting iron. Iron can be hard to digest, and we're really meant to digest it more from a lot of protein sources. That's our best forms of it. The ferrous bisglycinate. That is one of the most bioavailable to us. That's easier broken down, has an easier chemical structure, and then we want to also have always on board vitamin C. If you're taking iron, but you're not taking vitamin C, you won't get it driven to your cell to do its job. So that's a big way to make sure that you break that down. And then the last one is a cofactor of iodine. Many people who are deficient or anemic, they have a lot of iron problems. It's really that they don't have enough vitamin C and iodine. So if they look at that, I always say, I'm not a big fan of drinking orange juice, but I'll take my bioflavonoids and I will eat vitamin C rich foods when I consume iron. And I will make sure that I'm eating extra things like spirulina, chlorella, seaweed. Those seaweed snacks are great as natural iodine drivers to help influence.
Oh, wow. There's so much to it.
There is.
Now we have two more left. Please explain the different types of zinc.
Zinc. Okay. Zinc is a superpower. And this time of year, you should have zinc in your cabinet as a single individual dose, because zinc is that hero for oxidative stress in our immune system. So all those cellular processes, we need zinc right now. Moving into February, people are pretty deficient in vitamin D, which means they're very vulnerable to things like the flu and bronchitis and all the fun stuff that comes in. So having zinc around, the picolinate, bisglycinate, and chelate are all three very easy bioavailable versions that help our immune system and oxidative stress. And I really do like that one as an individual. So I have very few things in my cabinet that are individualized, because again, a multivitamin, when you source well, does a good job. But C and zinc and D, I keep on as individuals because I can dose them as needed and increase the dose if we're in a place where we need to demand more. And when we're sick or when we're stressed, we're naturally getting more depleted. We have to increase.
Now the last one, vitamin E. Why do you recommend vitamin E, and then what are some best sources of it?
The vitamin E is one that I really say stick to a multivitamin for E. That is the safest way to take it. It is your liver, skin, lungs, PMS, cognition, heart health. It's a lot in one. It's doing a lot of jobs. One of the best versions of it is, we call them tocotrienols, like D-alpha tocopherol. These are big fun words to use. you don't want to have the wrong form, because the synthetic form has a prefix to it, and that prefix will tell you if it's the right form or not. So if it has the D, that's the right. If it's the DL, just say lab, not the right form. So you want to get the right one. And like I said, this is not one that I have as an individual vitamin on my counter. I typically suggest people have that in a multivitamin form.
That makes a lot of sense. If you have all the time in the world and every ingredient on hand, like what nutritiously, balanced meal are you gonna cook tonight?
Tonight, I am a big fan of greens and steak. That is like my two favorites. Steak, meat itself is almost a complete multivitamin. If you're running low on energy, and I have so many women that come to me, they're perimenopausal and they're low on energy, and they're like, I used to live this active lifestyle. Now it's kicking my butt. What can I do? I mean, look, most of them aren't getting adequate protein. So that is a huge one. I love greens with it, a big, nutritious, big, beautiful salad. Broccoli I love, especially more. I do it actually pretty raw, and I do like a broccoli salad. Cruciferous vegetables help us clear estrogen, and we're getting so much estrogen from outside sources. We're not able to clear it fast enough. So I love it. It's just like, that is my brain meal to get my body activated and feeling good.
I love it. I know we covered so much, and it really requires someone with your expertise to figure out, exactly what vitamin, what form, does it work for your body? There's so much to it. So how can someone work with you?
They can work with me. They can simply drop me a DM or move to my website and apply to work with me there. And I also am opening up this year a lot of courses and coaching that is more group-based, so that I can handle more people at once. Because you're right, there's a lot of people who are saying, I know I want to do the right thing. It's overwhelming to me. And I also will say, in my bio link, I have some of my top prescription or prescribing referrals for some of my consumer-based vitamins and minerals. So you could go in there and follow your top needs. I mean, a lot of them are very driven by, you can type in there what you're looking for, cardiovascular health or women's health, brain health, and get matched right away. I take on people that are saying, I have overwhelming health issues. I really need to untie this knot and figure out what's at the bottom of it. And that's really where I serve people the most.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all your knowledge. This is such a great rundown of all the essential vitamins and what to look for, because I think many people, even if they understand which vitamin they need, they don't really understand the form. They don't really understand that, okay, maybe this is a certain way I need to feel to make sure it works.
Exactly.
I feel that's like super, super important for people to know.
Without a doubt. Yeah. And we're being marketed to at all times. And so I think it's easy to see the marketing and say, oh, this must be good for me. So often I have people showing me designer brands they've been taking, and turns out a lot of it's just kind of crud. But the body's, it's expensive pee at the end of the day. Nobody wants that. So yeah, I tell people, save my cheat sheet, learn some of the top forms and know how they serve you, know how to find them in food first, and then, where to supplement from top providers that you can trust.
Amazing. Thank you so much again. We're gonna have to invite you back to break down like different brands and like favorite products, and this would be really fun.
I would love to.
Thank you so much, Claire.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.